have to start with the CONCACAF and, well, actually CONCACAF CONMEBOL and the Gold Cup. Canada knocked out to the USA in penalties in the semifinals of the match. The big takeaway from Wednesday night's match, though, was the pitch. They were playing in California in the US, and the pitch was just covered in water. Just the photos.
It was a swimming pool.
Yeah, it was a swimming pool. They went for a little slip inside. Kaylin Sheridan, the keeper of Canada, came out afterwards after the match. She was pissed. You could tell just by her emotions. And of course, but she was, saying that this game shouldn't have happened. It wasn't their decision, though. They couldn't control any of that. I saw on social media, everyone's pissed. A lot of Canadian journalists, a lot of people that follow Canadian football. I'm sitting here thinking, welcome to the fucking bloody CONCACAF. You guys shocked? We've seen the men do this. That match against Panama, I think it was about 2 years ago now. Where Honduras, you're right, yeah. And it was horrible. John Herdman was pissed. Half the pitches in North America are still turf. Canada brought Mexico to the frickin' Azteca and played in -20, which is just dangerous for footballers. Why are we surprised? I just think the bigger story here is the standards of CONCACAF. I'm not shocked that they played in this at all, but I think it's like, welcome to the game. Guys, this is normal. CONCACAF doesn't have standards.
No, it's not great. I'm with you. I'm not that surprised. It's disappointing watching the game. And I will say, obviously Canadian media upset, Canadian players upset. Same thing was going on with the Americans as well. They won the game, but clearly that game should have never gone on. Yeah. And I was trying to figure out, okay, who's in charge of making this decision? You're trying to go through like the rules and listening to people who know more than at least I do. And I'm hearing it should have been the referee's decision, but then there's also a match day commissioner who can make that decision as well. Like there was a part in the game, I think it was pretty early on, where the referee grabs the ball and starts rolling it across the pitch, trying to show the commissioner or whoever the ball's not rolling properly. You can't play the ball on the ground. Yeah. So whatever game plan either side had, it changed. No backwards passes. There was one that kind of, I feel bad for her, but I mean, that's just almost like a muscle memory situation, right? Where you want to pass it back to the keeper. Yeah,
10 out of 10, that would have, if it was dry, that would have hit the keeper,
and the keeper would have cleared it or whatever would have happened. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm trying to figure out who should make this call. Like, should the players walk off the pitch? Would that have been better? Is that something they probably should have considered? I don't know. But someone who can oversee what's happening here, make a call, needs to say this cannot happen. This is a semifinal of a legitimate tournament between two of the biggest teams of women's football. Let's make this right. Let's play tomorrow. Let's wait until the rain dies down. Yeah. Like, it makes no sense to me. People are trying to overcomplicate it, saying, oh, it's CONCACAF. I get it's CONCACAF and these things happen, but just stop the game. Yeah. Like the players, why not walk off the pitch? I'm not going to pin it on the players because it's unfortunate that they had to go through that and they just have to deal with what they have to deal with and move forward. But I mean, if the rules makers aren't going to make the right decisions, then maybe the players need to do that themselves.
It would be unfortunate if the players, though, have to step up and be those people that make the rules because
I 100% agree.
The rules should be there. But
I agree.
I think my takeaway from it, like I said at the top of the show here, was that I'm just not shocked. I just have seen the CONCACAF matches, both the men and the women. This has happened time and time again where specifically pitches are just not up to par. And whether that's weather related, like I said, the actual pitch itself, if it's turf, I'm really not shocked. It's really unfortunate that it happened to be Canada and the U.S., like you mentioned, two of the biggest teams in in world football playing, and this obviously had a lot riding on it. But I just feel like if you are playing in CONCACAF, you need to be ready for that because a lot of the times it unfortunately this is the way it goes, and this is the bigger picture here. CONCACAF needs to step its game up. And I don't know what they're waiting for at this point. You have some of the best teams playing in world football, especially on the women's side. And your standards are still this low. This is how embarrassing this looks to the rest of the world. They're watching games like this. Yeah. It's not okay. But what is it going to take? Because if you have the team like the U.S. women's national team, part of your federation, a team that's won, gold medal, World Cup, everything possible, and reigned for how long? And that's not telling you that you have one of the best teams and we're not going to change anything, then what is? Yeah. I just don't know what more can the players do, what more can the teams do? It's on CONCACAF.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Someone could have got seriously injured. Seriously. And you're saying, for the players playing in CONCACAF, they should be prepared for these types of things. But you can't prepare for that.
Yeah.
You can't prepare to play on a type of pitch like that. If you're playing a CONCACAF, okay, you can understand there's going to be some dodgy refereeing maybe. There could be some dodgy pitches, but that is to a different level. That's not football anymore.
No, for
sure. I don't know
what
the hell we were watching it.
For sure.
And it's not just because Canada lost. I mean, it doesn't matter that they lost. I mean, it matters that they lost, but it doesn't matter that that pitch was the reason why, because it was a level playing field for both sides.
Yeah.
What bothers me is that, that's a major international tournament.
Huge.
And we would never see that on the men's side. I could be wrong. Listen, I've watched a couple Gold Cups. I don't remember ever seeing a pitch like that. I've watched tons of Euros and World Cups. I don't remember seeing pitches like that. You've watched a lot of Copa America. Do you remember seeing something similar to that?
I mean, there's
been some rough pitches. If you go back, obviously in the 80s and early 90s, those pitches were horrible. But it's 2024. These things don't need to happen.
I don't know if I agree with that though, because when I see anything CONCACAF related on the men's side as well, we've seen this. We spoke about that Honduras.
It's happened
game,
a few times.
But Canadians look back at this game in Edmonton it was a qualifier, World Cup qualifier match
against Mexico.
Yeah. I don't care who's playing in this game. That's dangerous.
Right.
To me, that was so stupid, because my thought was, if a Canadian gets injured, how dumb are you going to look? That should have also not been a match that was held.
But at the same time, this past week, MLS, it was LAFC. I can't remember who they were playing. Was it in Minnesota? It was a snowstorm. They were playing in a blizzard. And that match wasn't stopped.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I think when it comes to CONCACAF, it's not the men or the women, it's the entire thing. I've seen the men play in terrible conditions too, and the women, and that's why I'm saying it's an entire federation thing that they need to look at. It's just not safe. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Yeah, you're not going to get a proper football game, and they're not going to be able to, perform to their standards, but I think it's a safety issue, like you said.
No, it
Someone
definitely
could have
is.
gotten injured in that game, like the Mexico-Canada game. I just think it's, why are we risking these people's health?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weather impacts the game, and that's just a part of it. But that is to a different level. It's just disrespectful.
Oh,
come back to make it full circle. I mean, welcome to CONCACAF. CONCACAF after dark. What are we? That's insane.
No,
it's a semifinal of an international tournament.
It's so bad.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's not going to fly at any other international tournament. I'm telling you.
No way.
No way. So this is why it's so disrespectful. And it's a bit of an FU to both of those teams.
But okay, we know, not to take anything away from Canada, because the talent on the Canadian women's team for how long has been so good, but we know the Canadian Federation is a little... But the Americans, like I said, one of the biggest footballing federations, maybe if not the biggest in women's football, and they're playing here. Yeah. So where, because I'm thinking about other, big teams in football. We, of course, Spain, England, France, Australia, Brazil, but U.S. are arguably number one, and they're playing here. So where, how do you define, I mean, I don't think Spain would ever play a game there, but I think U.S. are still a bigger team right now than Spain.
What do you mean play a game in those conditions?
Yeah. I don't think Spain would ever do that.
Maybe not. We don't know. It's hard to speculate, right? Because maybe they're on the pitch and they're dealing with it, so we'll deal with it. I think that's kind of how both teams looked at it. There's not much. There's nothing you can do. If they don't want to call the match, you got to play the match.
Yeah. No,
and that puts the teams and the players and the coaches in a horrible position, but they have to decide. If we want to continue, we have to deal with this.
It's kind of crazy that both teams still scored though in this game.
And played 2-2. Hard. Yeah, that collision in the box near the end of the game. I can't remember who collided. It was the American keeper with the
head.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
They played hard the whole way through. You got to give them credit for that. Being able to play through that situation.
I'm thinking
and now wilting under pressure. I think both sides deserve so much credit for that. And I think that shouldn't go unnoticed too.
We've spoken about one particular player before. I know me and you specifically in Canada, and that's Ashley Lawrence. Yeah. We've always said she's a baller. Yeah. But can we talk about how she found Jordan Heidema? She got that ball. How are you even, how do you see her? First of all, I can't even imagine. But you still make that perfect cross in those, you probably have so much water bringing the ball down and whatnot. It
was parts of the pitches were okay. Yeah. The ball was rolling fine. It was near the middle, especially outside the 18-yard box. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Forget the through balls. You can't play the ball on the ground. Everything has to be through the air.
Yeah, I know that. That back pass.
There's no tactics there, right? It's guys. If you're a coach, I'm not out there. I don't know what you guys are feeling, what it's like.
Just try and be smart.
You're gonna have to make adjustments.
Just try and be smart
and fight. Yeah. It was a dog fight the whole way through. Yeah. Heidema wanted that ball.
Yeah. She flew. Well, okay, so she was the first Canadian since 2006, or sorry, anyone that scored against the USA since 2006.
Yeah.
On American soil. That's how long no one scored against the USA on American soil.
I didn't know that stat. Wow.
Yeah. So the last time it was, and I can't remember her name, and I apologize for that, but it was another Canadian. 2006 scored against the USA, American soil, and now 18 years later.
Wow, a long time.
Like
in those conditions too, right?
Yeah. No.
Crazy.
So there's definitely positives from it. Like I think the biggest thing is that Canada knows they're a good team. They could have gone to the final. It could go either way. I mean, the penalties were grim. I'm not gonna lie. They were really bad penalties, but I also feel like I can't properly judge it because I don't know how, even the spot was looking, how much water was there, how could they see? I don't want to blame it on that, but they weren't good penalties.
For Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of them were, they're at a good height for the keeper to stop, right? But, I mean.
We don't know.
It's penalties, man. It's 50-50.
Yeah.
I would never, dig into a team for missing certain penalties in those positions, especially in those conditions in a semifinal. Like, that's difficult. It's a difficult spot to be in. We saw one of the Americans literally kick it into Rosette. So,
yeah.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah. Honestly, embarrassing for CONCACAF, and they really need to figure it out because it looks really bad.
But will they, though?
No, of course not. No, definitely
probably not.